Picture this. You're 200,000 miles from Earth. Your spacecraft is dying, the computers are dead, and the only thing standing between you and the cold vacuum of space is a wristwatch. This is the incredible true story of Apollo 13, and how a simple mechanical timepiece became the difference between life and death. April 11, 1970. The massive Saturn V rocket pierces the Florida sky, carrying 3 astronauts into the unknown. Commander Jim Lovell, a veteran of 3 previous space missions. Jack Swigert, making his first trip to space after being added to the crew just 48 hours before launch. And Fred Haise, the lunar module pilot who dreamed of walking on the moon. Their destination? The Fra Mauro Highlands on the lunar surface. Apollo 13 was supposed to be NASA's third moon landing, a routine mission that would further expand humanity's footprint on another world. But space has a way of reminding us that nothing is ever routine. 2 days into the mission, everything seemed perfect. The crew was performing standard maintenance, just stirring the oxygen tanks to prevent the contents from settling. A simple, everyday procedure they'd done countless times in training. 9:08 p.m., Houston time. Jack Swigert flips the switch. The entire spacecraft shudders. Warning lights illuminate the cockpit like a deadly Christmas tree. Alarms blare. The main electrical system starts failing. And then comes the radio call that would echo through history.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here. This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
What happened in that split second was catastrophic. Oxygen tank number 2 had exploded, ripping a massive hole in the side of the service module. Precious oxygen, the very air the astronauts needed to breathe, was venting into the vacuum of space. The main power system was dying. The temperature inside the command module began plummeting toward freezing. In an instant, the dream of landing on the moon was over. The mission had transformed from one of exploration into a desperate fight for survival. With the command module dying around them, the crew had only one option: abandon ship and move into the lunar module, Aquarius. But here's the problem. The lunar module was never designed for this. It was built to support 2 astronauts for just 2 days on the lunar surface. Now it had to keep 3 men alive for 4 days. In the hostile environment of deep space, every resource was precious. Water was rationed to just 6 ounces per person per day, less than a coffee cup. The cabin temperature dropped to 38 degrees Fahrenheit. Condensation formed on every surface as the astronauts' breath froze in the air. Fred Haise developed a kidney infection from dehydration. They were slowly dying, but Mission Control wasn't giving up. Led by Flight Director Gene Kranz, the man who famously declared, "Failure is not an option." Hundreds of engineers worked around the clock to solve problems nobody had ever imagined. How do you remove carbon dioxide when you have the wrong type of filters? They built a makeshift scrubber using duct tape, cardboard, and plastic bags, items the astronauts had on board. How do you conserve power when every watt counts? They shut down every non-essential system, leaving the crew in near darkness, navigating by the light of Earth and stars. Getting back to Earth wasn't as simple as hitting the brakes and turning around. At their current position, that would take too much fuel they didn't have. Instead, NASA devised an incredible plan. Use the moon itself as a gravitational slingshot. Apollo 13 would swing around the far side of the moon, using lunar gravity to whip them back toward Earth like a stone from a slingshot. But this meant flying deeper into space than they'd ever planned. Farther from home, farther from help. As they disappeared behind the moon, radio contact was lost. For 25 agonizing minutes, the 3 astronauts were completely cut off from Earth, alone. In the absolute silence of deep space. At Mission Control, hundreds of people held their breath. The world watched and waited. Finally, the crackling voice of Jim Lovell broke through the static. "Please be informed, there is a Santa Claus." They had survived the far side of the moon and were heading home. But they weren't safe yet. The improvised trajectory was slightly off. If they re-entered Earth's atmosphere at the wrong angle, too shallow, and they'd skip off into space forever, too steep. And they'd burn up like a meteor. The crew would die within sight of home. They needed to perform a precise course correction. A 14-second engine burn that had to be timed perfectly. Under normal circumstances, this would be easy. The spacecraft's computers would calculate everything precisely, automatically timing the engine burn down to the millisecond. But the computers were shut down to save power. The digital clocks were dark. The crew had no countdown timers, no automated systems. Nothing electronic at all. All they had was what every astronaut carried. As part of their standard equipment, an Omega Speedmaster professional chronograph. A purely mechanical watch that didn't need electricity to function. Commander Jim Lovell strapped the Speedmaster to his wrist. As the engine fired and the spacecraft began to shake, he started the chronograph and began counting the most important seconds of their lives.
Start. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Cut.
The engine shut down. Mission Control ran the calculations. The burn was perfect, exactly 14 seconds, timed by a mechanical watch. Apollo 13 was now on a safe trajectory home. That Omega Speedmaster had just saved 3 lives. April 17, 1970. After 4 days of cold, hunger, and exhaustion, the command module Odyssey splashed down in the Pacific Ocean.
500 feet. OM1 on station. Is on station. Photo 1's on station. Photo 1 observes splash down at this time. On pickup.
Against impossible odds, all 3 astronauts were alive. The mission that was supposed to be a routine moon landing had become NASA's finest hour. A testament to human ingenuity, courage, and the power of never giving up. And that mechanical watch? It became legend. The Omega Speedmaster wasn't just the moonwatch anymore. It was the watch that helped bring Apollo 13 home. NASA didn't forget. The space agency was so grateful for Omega's role in the mission that they decided to honor the company with a very special award. One featuring an unlikely hero that would become a symbol of excellence and safety in spaceflight. That award featured Snoopy, yes, the cartoon beagle. And it represents one of the most touching and meaningful honors NASA has ever given. The story of the Silver Snoopy Award is about courage, precision, and how a comic strip dog became a symbol of space exploration excellence. If the incredible survival story of Apollo 13 gave you chills, you won't want to miss what comes next. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because in our next episode, we're diving into the heartwarming and surprising story of how Snoopy became NASA's unofficial mascot, and why Omega still celebrates that connection today. Trust me, it's a story that will make you see both space exploration and your favorite cartoon beagle in a completely new light.